Okay, let's see. We're holding on the Zion of a base. Yeah, I'm gonna be the Ben Beseira towards the top. It's 6 lines from the top. I'm gonna be the Ben Beseira. Yeah, is that correct? We think Hashem. We're able to learn Torah every day. Who's gonna teach tomorrow? Maisha, where are you gonna be tomorrow?
I'm gonna be. I'm staying in a hotel outside JFK. I have a 6 a.m. flight back to Miami.
I have a 6 a.m. flight. Oh, that's gonna work. Okay. We'll have to figure out what we're gonna do about tomorrow. Today's Thursday. Tomorrow, Friday. I don't know what we'll do. We're all like and maybe traveling. So you're gonna do the share over here. Okay. Hill's giving the share tomorrow. Okay. I don't know. You'll go on the Zoom and you'll in case someone goes on. Right? Okay. We thank Hashem we will learn Torah every day, and we're also learning for Shlema from my father, and also for Naftali and Bela, and for whoever else needs. Okay. So we start like this. We're talking about machlekes in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira holds that a person can make a shvua that he's going to fulfill a mitzvah. And the sages said, but you can't make it, that's not considered a shvua, because if you try to say it the opposite, which that's the way shvuas have to work, this shvua spita, you have to be able to say it positive and negative. You can't say the negative. You can't say, I'm not going to do the mitzvah, because it doesn't work in the reverse. So the sages said that it doesn't work even in the positive. It doesn't work at all. So the Gemara says like this: Rabbanan Shapri Karmeli Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira. The Rabbanan had a good claim to Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira. If it doesn't work in the reverse, then it shouldn't work at all. Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira Amalach. The Gemara explains. Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira, he would explain to you. He would say back a retort to the sages. He would say like this: the Torah says an extra word. It says the word "oy." From that extra word, l'ra lehetiv, right? L'ra lehetiv, to do for the bad or for the good, for the detriment, for the positive, for the detriment. When it says that word "or," it comes to include that even if someone's doing something for someone else, to do good for someone else. Now, what's to do good for someone else? It's not to give them a gift, but we say if the Torah includes to do something good for someone else, what about the opposite of that? To do something bad for someone else? So the Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira responds. He says you can't make a note that you're going to do something bad to someone else, but nevertheless, the Torah allows you clearly to do something good for someone else. So you see, you can make an oath even though it doesn't get flipped. You can't do the reverse. To do good for someone else, yes, but to do bad for someone else, no. So that means that the Torah allows you to do it. The Torah not allows. The Torah considers it an oath even if it can't be flipped. Rabbi Akiva's view was Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel were past tense. But that was machlekes. If you can do the past, that can't be the future. Here we're talking about positive and negative, right? It didn't have to be able to flip from past to future. Something like right. It didn't have to. It didn't have to be. We had a machlekes in Rabbi Akiva if it had to be, even though past tense was good, but did it have to be able to be a future tense? That was another discussion. Now we're saying that from positive to negative, if it can't be flipped. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira is a proof that it does that even if it's not able to be flipped, it's still considered an oath. because it's considered an oath if someone says that I will do something good to my friend, even though he can't say I will do something bad to my friend. See, it doesn't have to be flipped. The Rabbanan would say to that, it's not accurate. See, all of this is based on the argument about. It's an argument about someone taking an oath that he's going to fulfill a mitzvah. He says, what's the opposite of fulfilling a mitzvah? Not to fulfill the mitzvah. That's a problem. What's the opposite of doing something good for someone else? Not doing something bad. Not doing something good for someone else. So he's saying that Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira's claim is not a perfect comparison, because the opposite of doing something good is not doing something bad. It's not doing it. It's not doing it at all. So if someone says, I'm not going to give my friend $100. Okay, it's an oath that he's allowed to take. He would say, I'm going to steal from him $100. That would be a problem. So therefore, when he says that I'm going to give him $100, that's an oath that could be flipped, because he could say, I'm not going to give him $100. Okay, it's no affair in that. But if he says, I'm going to put on tefillin, he can't flip that to say, I'm not going to put on tefillin, because that would be violating it. So that's why the Rabbanan have a response back to Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira that every oath needs to be able to be flipped. In order for it to be an oath. Taking an oath that you're going to do a mitzvah can't be flipped.
The 630 commandments cannot be flipped.
Right.
We have no obligation to do it anyways.
Right. Very good. Shua shlayachal. If someone takes an oath, I will not eat tikarzu, this loaf of bread. Shua shlayachlana. If he takes an oath, I won't eat it. Shua shlayachlana. Takes an oath, I won't eat it. Now he took 3 oaths over here. The Gemara's going to ask, what's the chiddush of the third one? Get it about the second one. The halach is v'achla, if he ate it, ain't chay balachas. It's only chay of one carbon because he violated his oath. What about the second oath? What about the third oath? Well, the second and third oath don't count, because you can't take one oath after you've already taken an oath, and you can't stack one oath on top of another oath. So once you had the first oath, the second and third are insignificant.
You can override what you already compromised. You need to finish that first before you go to the second one.
Talking about at the point that it was said, it's insignificant because I already took an oath that he's not going to eat this loaf of bread.
Identical oaths.
An identical oath. Yeah. So it's an important point that the Gemara is going to discuss. This is the type of oath called Shua Spitei, that if someone intentionally violates it, he gets malchus. If he unintentionally violates it, then he has to be in carbon. Shav. What about a Shua Shav? Shua Shav was said someone that swears at about the obvious, right? So we said, over there, there's no carbon. There's no carbon if he didn't realize what he was saying. But if he does realize, then there's Makos. Okay, the Gemara goes to analyze this Mishnah. It says, why did it need to say to switch? It switched in the term. It said, I take a swear that I will not eat this loaf of bread. Then it says a second time, I swear that I will not eat it. Why didn't it say again, I will not eat this loaf of bread? Exactly the same expression. Why did it have to then use the pronoun, I won't eat it? Kamash Malan is coming to tell us a chiddush. Taima, that the reason is the order over here is very significant. First, he says, I will not eat this loaf of bread. Then he says, I will not eat it. That's when he's only chayav one. But if he says the opposite, I won't eat it, I won't eat this loaf of bread, then it's going to be chayav two. The way, because Rava, as Rava says, because then it's not going to be identical. It goes like this. Rava says, someone says, I will not eat this loaf of bread. Even shachal men kazayas is chayav. He says, I won't eat the loaf of bread. He doesn't have to eat the entire loaf of bread. Once he eats a kazayas of it, he's already chayav. However, If he says I won't eat it, the pronoun you're only going to be chayv if he eats the entire thing. So let's take a look at it like this. If a person takes an oath that I won't eat a kazayas of this loaf, and then he takes another oath that I won't eat the whole thing. So eating the whole thing is going to be stacked upon what he said already that I won't eat a kazayas, which means that the second oath is insignificant. He already said I'm not going to eat any amount of it. Forget about the whole thing, right? Now, but if he does it the other way, I won't eat the whole thing. Okay, he'll only violate if he tells the whole thing. Then he adds on to that, I won't eat even a kazayas of it. So now that's already in addition to the first oath. So then it will take effect, and then
the second one will take effect.
The second one will take effect because the first one was larger. The second one is going to be more specific. Reliable. I think he's going to be chayav on every kazayas. We're going to see in a moment. But, okay.
There's a time limitation for that, right? Or
it depends what he said.
Right.
What else is on? What else is on there? Oh, okay. This time it's on. Yeah. I can't hear anything. Yeah. Okay, the Gemara says like this. Now the Gemara is asking, why does it need to list? If your main point is that one oath can't take effect on top of an exactly the same other oath, so then why do you have to have a list of 3 oaths? You already got the point in the second oath. Why do you have to have 3? Like we said in the Mishnah. Hasul Amali, why do we need the third one? It says Hakamash Malan, it's coming to teach us. You know what? You're not going to be chayiv, but the shvua still exists. Okay. The mishkachas ravka, because if you find some space for this, chayla, it's going to take effect. My hilchasa, what are you talking about? When is that going to take effect? The oath that didn't take effect originally is going to take effect later. How's that going to work? It says, look at the Rava. Like Rava says, the Marava. Good morning. Good morning. Like the sign 9:10. I'll come to you. All right.
I'm coming upstairs. Sorry, I didn't realize the sounds on.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay. So Rava says like this: in Nishal al Rishayna, if let's say he goes to the Rav to be matir neder, to annul the vow. So he took three oaths. He took 3 oaths here. So the first one takes effect. The second 2 don't. But let's say he goes to the Rav and he says, I took 3 oaths. I want to annul the first one. So the first one's gone. The second one's going to take effect. I want to annul the second one. Okay, the third one will take effect. Okay. So also the second one falls into that position. I could bring a support to Rava. You ready? You have a Tosefta in Nazir. It says Misha another base Nazirus. Let's say someone says I'm going to be a Nazir, and then he says again I'm going to be a Nazir. The rule is that he's going to be a Nazir for 30 days, and then when that's finished, he's going to be a Nazir another 30 days. So Mana Rishayna, he counted the first one, carbon, and he separates a carbon. Then he goes to the Rav. He says, "I want to take off the first Nazirus. I want to be matir neder." So also Leishniya B'Rishayna. We take off the first one, so the second one is counted that he already was a Nazir for 30 days. So he's already fulfilled. He's almost done with the second one because he just has to bring the sacrifice. So that's a proof that even when an oath didn't take effect because of some problem, but when you take away that problem, the oath then revives itself and takes effect. Gemara says, it's not a good comparison. Nazirus mi isa, the chimana l'rishayna ba'im hadamim l'shniya b'lei shayla. Over there, both Nazirus are in existence. The first one he's just finished. Second one, he's about to do. Okay. But over here, over here, originally, when he took the second oath has no validity. Over there, both Naziris have validity. I'm going to have one, and I'm going to have another one. Over here, when he says, I'm not going to eat the loaf, and he says, I'm not going to eat the loaf. So the second, originally, at the moment when it was said, it's insignificant. By the Naziris, they were both significant when it was said. Just it's not this month, it's going to have to be the next month. But it's a real, so therefore, when he annuls it, so annuls the first one, then the second one takes effect. However, here, that's not a proof that if he annuls the first oath, the second oath is going to take effect. When he said the second oath was considered like nothing.
Because it's similar to the.
Because it's just a repeat of the first, which it's not like I'm not going to eat this one tomorrow. So I'm not going to eat it today. Well, we're saying it's not a proof. You can't compare it. Rava still says this then, but he says you're trying to prove it from the Mishnah of Naziris, Tisefta Naziris. That's not a proof, because that's a different story. Okay. Amar Rava. Nishba al kikar v'achla. Someone takes an oath that he's not going to eat a loaf of bread, but that he ate it. Shayim and a kazayas. If there's still a kazayas left, Nishal Allah, he can still go to the Rav and annul the oath. Yeah, he can get out of the sin that he did. He ate a kazayas.
Isaiah.
Achla kula, but if he ate the whole thing, Nishala, then how could he be matir neder if there's no loaf left? You're right. You're trying to go back to say that the oath that I took should not have any significance by annulling it, but that would only be if it still is in existence. But here it doesn't exist anymore, so you can't annul it.
Even the first one.
We're going to learn about the getting back, but because he can still annul it for the future. Then when it gets annulled, so then it goes back retroactively and is annulled from this. Amalei Ravacha Brei de Rava le Ravashi. Ravacha, the son of Rava, says to Ravashi, "Hey Chidami, what's going on over here? Idamer shlo yochal." What was his expression? If he said, "I'm not going to eat," so 1 second, because I come up the Lisura, he already did the sin. Remember we said, "I won't eat this loaf." Then the first, if he says, "I won't eat this loaf," then the first kazayas, he's already violated it. Idamer shlo yochlena. If he says that I won't eat it with the pronoun, then we said he's only violates it if he ate the entire loaf. So my area kazayas.
So he's specifying it.
Yeah, right. Why specifically if there's a kazayas left, feel a kol shunami, even if there's a smallest amount? I'm reminded of this trick that they were gonna kill someone and they said, "Give me one wish, give me my last wish." He said, "Okay." So he said, "I want a cup of water." They said, "Oh, that's okay, no problem. There's not in the middle of while I'm drinking it." He said, "No, I swear it's not going to kill until you finish the very last drop." He said, "Okay." He takes the cup and pours it on the floor. Okay. So
So what will be the din?
what's the din? So over here, okay.
Gotta go
Over here, what you're saying, if he says shalei echlena until I eat it, then he has to eat till the very last drop. There's no violation until he ate everything. Why do you say if there's a kazayas left? It doesn't have to be a kazayas. Even if there's a drop left, same halacha would apply. He didn't violate the oath until the last drop. We have 2 ways of learning this statement of Rava. We could do it 2 ways. We could say that he said, "I won't." Take an oath that he won't eat the loaf, or he can take an oath that he won't eat it. If he says, "I won't eat the loaf," which means that every kazayas is going to be a prohibition. Migu demahane shaila, a kazayas basra. Migu, just as, right? Migu, just as, or since it's effective, the annulment of the oath for the last kazayas that's still left, because every kazayas that he eats would be a prohibition. There's still a kazayas left. So then, mahani le shaila name kazayas kama. So it goes back to Mafreya, retroactive, and it in the undoing of the oath, the annulling of the oath, would be effective even for the ones earlier, even for the what he ate before. Okay, so that answers our question. That he already violated the oath. How could you say that he annuls it? He says, well, he can annul it for the future, and then automatically it works. Another way, because of retroactive. We can also say that was the difference that we said when a chacham annuls the oath, he annuls it retroactive. When the husband annuls the oath, it's only from then and onward, right? Right? Okay. Oh, Yitzizan, wow. By your same we could also say the other way. We can also say that the oath that the person took was that I won't eat it. The way we were learning this, the way Rava was explaining this, that this means that he won't eat the entire loaf. So he said, so why does he have to be a kazayas left, even if there's any drop left? Says Ishaya kazayas, if there's a kazayas left, chashav l'shulela. Then when it comes to the annulment of the oath, it's only considered significant if there's a full kazayas left. But if there's no full kazayas, it's not significant enough to annul it. This is a problematic Gemara, because if there's a violation in less than a kazayas, then that's significant to annul it. If there's no violation, then it's insignificant to annul it. But here we're saying that there's a violation on even the smallest drop. But in order to annul it, it needs to be a kazayas. So it's like an inconsistency in the logic. It's two different things. You're right. To violate it, you violate it with the smallest amount. But it's not significant enough to annul it unless it's a kazayas. We had a question that why only if there's a kazayas left can he annul it? Even if there's a smallest amount, he should be able to annul it, because that's when he's going to violate the prohibition. He said, no, when it comes to the annulment, it needs to be a kazayas. When it comes to the violation, even the smallest amount. So I'm just saying it's not a perfect logic. It's not matching perfectly.
So Chayev is a Chumbra, and the other one is Kula. Right?
To annul it would be the leniency. He's not going to eat the entire loaf. No, not from. He's not going to eat the entire loaf.
Because that's what
I'm not going to eat it.
That's what's another, right?
So then if there's the smallest amount left, he didn't eat it. He didn't eat the full loaf. So the last drop is going to be the prohibition. So he could still annul it before he violates it. The Gemara says no. You can only annul it if there's a kazayas. Yeah. It's a difficulty. The commentaries will discuss it. Okay.
Because you need a kazayas to be chayev.
Actually, that was a machlekes we had before. Rabbi Akiva held.
If he's a kazayas, he's not chayev. He needs to be a kazayas to be chayev.
Not by oaths. By oaths, it could be chayev even less than a kazayas. It's a machlekes. Meisvei. Reb Shimon held that every smallest amount. Meisvei. Where's the question? Mishanadar shtei naziris. Someone that took a vow that is going to be a nazir twice. Mana Rishayna. He counts the first one. The hifrei shaleh carbon, and he separates a carbon. Bachach nishal Rishayna. Then he goes to the Rav and he's mataneder. Now also leishniya berishayna. Okay, the second one it takes effect, and it's as if he's almost finished the second one, because the first one just disappeared because he just annulled it. So now he was supposed to be for 2 months. The first month is he doesn't need the first month anymore. So the second Naziris is taking effect in the first month. Now the problem with this is that Rava was making it look that if you still can violate the oath, then you can annul it. If you can't violate it, you can't annul it. The problem is here, he already finished the first Naziris. He's already designated a sacrifice. And he's annulling the oath. How do you annul it when you finished it? you can only annul it if you can still able to violate it. But he didn't. It's all gone. So how does he annul it? It's a kasha on Rava. Rava says you can only annul it while there's still a chance to violate it.
But you need to do it again. You need to eat again and have the right amount.
But it seems to be to contradict Rava's theory. The Gemara says, we're talking about over here where you didn't bring the sacrifice yet. Okay. So that's why it's still violated. It's still considered a nazir until he brings the sacrifice. But Tanya Keeper, but 1 second, I have a brisa that says sometimes the brisa is more elaborate than the Mishnah. So here in the Mishnah, we just said that you designated the sacrifice. Doesn't say he brought it. But the brisa says that he did bring it. So how's that going to work? My answer is b'shalei gilach. He didn't take the haircut, which he's supposed to do after the sacrifice is slaughtered. He's supposed to take the haircut. Rabbi Eliezer, and it goes according to the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer that says that the person is still a nazir till after he takes his haircut. But we have a brisa that says gilach, that he already took the haircut. The brisa elaborated more than what we have in the Mishnah. Mishnah just said that he designated the sacrifice. The brisa says, yeah, and he also took this haircut. Ravashi says, Nazirus karamis. He's asking a question about Nazirus. Mi garam l'shniya shleitacho. Who was blocking the second Nazirus from taking effect? Rishaina was the first Nazirus. Ve'ina, and it's not here. Okay, this is a very difficult logic here to figure out what the Ravashi means. He's saying that both Nazirusin are still in existence, even after it's finished. As opposed to the loaf of bread, once he eats it, it's not here. So you can't have the second, by the loaf of bread, if you don't have any left of the loaf, then you can't annul it, granted. But over here, by the Nazirus, if I pull away the first one, even though I finished it, but the second one would take effect. In other words, the first one, it was always here, blocking the second one from taking effect because of the time. Maybe we can explain this with time.
The second one didn't fall out because for the first one.
Well, our question is that how can he annul the first one after the time of the first one is finished? Rava said that you can't annul a vow about bread if you've eaten the bread already. So the Gemara is making this difference between when you've eaten the bread is gone. When you've done the nazir, the nazirus, this doesn't mean that the nazirus is gone. So what's the difference? That's the question. What's the difference? It's very unclear. Do they have a comment?
When needs to take place
for a punishment for the first one?
If he violates the first one, we're talking about can he annul it even though he's eaten part of it? So it says, yeah, if there's some left, he can still annul it. But if it's nothing left, then you can't go and annul it. That's what we said. Now here by the Nazirus, we said after it's finished, you can still annul it.
Point is there high of anything in the Shemayim or not really? And it was short shove or this or that because
The oath for the bread.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like the annul it is it's annul. I don't know, Mina Shemayim. That's okay. Now we're talking about if you have to bring a sacrifice. Let's see what they say over here. Now that's not here, but it's the same thing. Although the first term has been counted and all necessary concluding rituals have been performed, the first vow of the Nazirus cannot be said to have no relevance. For it is the very fact that the first vow was made that requires the Nazir to observe another term of the Nazirus. But if the first vow has not been made, the second vow would have been fulfilled. The way that they're explaining it, they're quoting Rashi, is that
Ashi.
they're quoting Rashi,
Ashi.
explaining Ravashi. that it's not that you finish the vow. That's not our point. The point is not that you finish the vow. The point is that the vow is now insignificant. So because the first vow is not insignificant, the first vow of Nazirus is not insignificant, because the second Nazirus is being blocked from taking effect while the first vow, if the first vow would disappear, then the vow, the Nazirus would go backwards, and you would have finished the second Nazirus. So the way we were learning it the whole time is that if there's no vow left, so then you can't annul it anymore. Now, the way Rav Ashi is explaining it is that it doesn't have to do with if there's no vow left. So if the vow is insignificant, by the loaf of bread, the vow is insignificant because you've eaten it already. Right. It has no significance after that. But here,
talking about
the vow of but here the vow of Nazirus, it still has significance even after you finish the vow. Why? Because I have a second Nazirus that was being blocked from taking effect because the first one was there. If you remove the first one, then the second Nazirus would have been finished. So it still is significant. Still significant, you can still annul it. That's like a shift in our understanding of what Rava meant.
Why the second vow there?
The Nazirus?
Second term.
Yeah. Why? Because you can take 2 terms of Nazirus. I'm going to be a Nazir for a month. And then he says, I'm going to be a Nazir for a month.
So right? Even though he cut his hair, because once you cut the hair, then you have to deal with that. Right? You
but we're saying that the second Nazirus is now the first Nazirus. Because he got rid of the first one. He annulled it. So but he waited a month, he didn't drink wine, he didn't cut his hair. Okay, that's the second one. He satisfied the second vow of Nazirus by keeping the first one. Because he annulled the first one. It doesn't match with the bread because the bread is only one vow. You eat it, it's done. Now it's insignificant, right? Okay.
So I'm saying I'm driving to Texas just before he comes to Texas and he says, I'm driving to California. He's already halfway to California. So you don't make him go back to Florida to go to Texas and get a California. Sounds similar.
Right. A Maimar Amar. Now, a Maimar is going to argue on Rava. All right? Maimar is going to argue on Rava. He says, Afilu achlakula nishalala. Rava was saying that you can only annul a vow if there still is some left to the vow, some significance left. The Maimar says no. Even after you ate the whole thing, you go to the Rav and you annul it.
He's still higher, even though like he cut his hair or whatever. He's still
so 1 second.
One needs to take place in order for that to be finished with them, right?
How can he? Why can he still annul it? He says because if he violated the oath b'shogeg, he ate the loaf of bread when he didn't realize. So then he still had to bring the sacrifice. So the oath is still significant. Even Masid, if he ate it unintentionally, he knew that he wasn't allowed to. Malchus, then he's missing the lashes. So there's still a significance to the oath. So if he annuls it, that's very significant. Aval kaftu alamad, but once he's already tied up to the post, ready to get lashes, then he can't annul it. Kedeshmol, Damar Shmuel, because Shmuel said kaftu alamad v'ratz mi best in his pater. If once they tie him up, so it's like Gemara Makkos, once they tie him, even if he escapes, so if it's then it's done. They don't give him the lashes anymore. Why? Because the fact that he was tied up and escaped, that's already considered like a punishment. He's already been degraded, the fact that he had to go through that. So you see, once he's tied up, even though the Malchus wasn't given, it's over. Gemara says V'loiti, but that's not a good raya, because Hassam over there by Shmuel, who says that once he's tied to the post, because they're going to whip him, right? So Rutz, over there, he ran away. And the running away is the meaning itself. And then, so he's already considered that's an atonement. Ach, over here, Loi Rutz, didn't run away. He's getting away, he's waiting there for the lashes. It's not considered that he had the lashes already. Once they tie him up, they don't let him down. They still give him the lashes. It's when he ran away that they don't give him the lashes. That's not a good proof. Amar Rava. Rava says, Shvua shleyoichal kikarzu, imeichal. Okay, this gets slightly complex. Here it's called a oath with a condition. It says, I won't eat this loaf of bread if I eat this loaf of bread. He makes it dependent. The oath is dependent on a stipulation, on a condition that if I eat this one, then I won't eat this one. So he eats the first one, which means the one of the condition. He eats it b'shegig. That means he forgot that he took an oath. And the second one he eats b'mezid. The violation is b'mezid. So it says that he's pater. Why he's pater is because the first loaf that he eats is considered actualization of the vow. He didn't really take the vow until he gets rid of the stipulation, till he fulfills the stipulation. That's when the vow takes effect. He says, I won't eat this one if I eat that one. So when he eats that one, that's when this one is significant. And it would work the other way as well. If he ate the one that he took the vow on first, whatever it is, the first one that he's going to eat is going to be when the vow is taking effect. Now, if that's the case,
unless he pointed, right? And there is a simon.
No, even if he points, the idea here is that he has to be aware when he's taking the vow, which now means eating the first loaf. He has to be aware of the vow when he's doing that. If it's not aware of it, then it's not called, in the verse we said, ha'adam b'shvua. It's not considered a man. It's considered unpreventable circumstances. It's considered an inus. If he's not aware of the vow when he's taking the vow,
then it's not a vow.
Right. So therefore, if he eats the first one b'shaygig, he's automatically pater.
Question. I'm having a hard time here because I'm thinking of all these years back then, and why are they doing vows on everything? Why can't they just do their thing? And why they have that? And then I'm just brought back to the past, and I realized that in the colloquial, people always saying, I swear this, I swear that, and they don't really mean, they swear. So is that what's going on here? That these people would use the lashon of shvua, like people now say, I swear, not realizing they're actually making an oath when they do it. Hello? What am I looking at?
You're looking at Yitzi's picture.
Lindsberg.
What about you?
Look at you.
Oh, stop it, Yitzi.
Lindsberg. Yitzi Lindsberg.
So in Shulchan Aruch, in the Kitzur, it says that you have to train the children not to say, I swear. It says that's not a Jewish,
Right.
they're not supposed to be doing that.
So they had that problem back then.
Back then it seems a little serious.
Right. It's serious today as well. Right. No, you hear kids, you hear people saying it, they're not trained. They say, I swear to God.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's serious. Not supposed to do that. Right? And I'll say about like, how many cars there were in his driveway, like, not, like insignificant things. It's like they only do that in court and under serious.
And in court you say I affirm because
right.
you're smart enough not to.
So
Okay.
how do you know that when you say I swear God such and such? God forbid.
It could still be annulled. It could still be annulled, but you're supposed to avoid that as an expression. You're not supposed to. That's not supposed to be part of your.
But we know it in Rosh Hashanah, right?
No, if it's an oath, then it's a real oath. It's just a very serious oath, right? Okay. We're not supposed to rely on the Rosh Hashanah annulment. We're supposed to actually annul each one individually. That's to cover
We
things.
need a Bezdin for that. We need you.
That's what, but that's for things that you forgot about, that you didn't. Those that covers all the
intentional stuff.
Right. Okay. So let's say the opposite. Let's say Rishayna b'mezid. Let's say the first loaf that he ate, he had this stipulation here. The first loaf that he ate, he knew that he took the vow. So then when it takes effect, so it's with awareness, because when he's eating the first loaf, so then Vishniya b'shagig, then the second one was unintentional, then he's going to be chayiv. That's a classic chiyuv of bringing a carbon, where he took a vow, he knew what he was saying, and then he violated it by mistake. It's a carbon. Stay in b'shagig. Let's say both of them were b'shagig. He didn't realize when he ate the first one or the second one, or stay in b'mezid, or they're both intentional. Then, with they're both intentional, I stand b'shegeg. That should be automatically
The
pater.
shogeg
Stand
means
b'shegeg is pater.
not
That's
intentional.
pater because once the first one is b'shegeg, you
What
automatically
means
pater.
V'shogeg?
B'shegeg means unintentional.
Unintentional.
Yeah, it means he didn't realize that he took a vow, and he's already eating while he's eating the first loaf. Okay, stand b'mezid. Then there's a difference over here. Which one he ate first? If he ate the stipulation one first, not the vow, and then he eats the one that he's not allowed to, then he's mechayev. Then that's a clear prohibition. He's going to be chayev malchus, not a carbon, because he did it on purpose. But he's going to be chayev. And when the oath took effect, he was aware of what he was doing. But if he ate first the one that he wasn't allowed to eat, if he eats another one, so he ate the prohibition first, but we don't know if that's prohibited because he didn't do the stipulation yet. So and afterwards he eats the stipulation. That's applicable to Rabbi Yechon Reish Lakish, a famous machlekes that we had in Masech Makas a bunch of times. That Lamandam Asra Safik Shmei Asra, then he's going to be chayav. Does he need to have a Hasra Vadai? We have to, when we warn him, if you eat that, you're going to get Malchus. So the person comes over to me and says, if you eat that, you're going to get Malchus. The guy says, 1 second, maybe I'm not going to get Malchus because I didn't eat the stipulation yet. At first, I have to eat the stipulation to get Malchus. Right now, it's still permissible. Yeah. So the Mandamar that it doesn't need that, even if it's a suffix is chayiv, then that was a good warning. The Mandamar Shmei Asra, the Lav Shmei Asra, according to the other opinion, then he's going to be pat. Now, if it wasn't complicated enough, we make it one step more complicated. Talan zu bezu, if he made them conditional one on the other. Lo yoichal zu u'moichal zu, and lo yoichal zu u'moichal zu. Now, both of them are prohibited, but both of them have a stipulation, and the stipulation is the other one. I won't eat this one if I ate that one, and I won't eat that one if I eat this one. So they each have a stipulation on them, and they each have a prohibition on them. And remember what we said is that the first one, if it's intentional with the first one, then that's going to be considered a vow for the other one, right? That's going to be considered a vow if it's intentional. The first one would make it intentional. Okay, now when he ate the first one, he knew that I took a vow about this one, but he didn't realize that he took a vow about the other one. So this is a stipulation for the other one. So when he's eating this, he's b'shegeg on the other one. So so then he's going to be pater. Now, let me just clarify. Why is he going to be pater? Because when he ate this one with intention, he knew that he took a vow about this, but he didn't do the stipulation. When he ate the other one, he forgot about everything. So 1 second. So why should it be pater? It should be chayev. At least on this one. So the second one, he's pater clearly, because why is he pater? Because when he ate the first one, he wasn't aware that he took the vow on the second one. So that's what we learned the whole time. That it's not considered ha'adam b'shua. You have to be aware when eating the first one, it's taking effect. But why isn't he chayav for eating the first one after he eats the second one? He should be chayav on that. Carbon shall the mafreya the rishayna pater slice shega b'chalasa. Oh, he's pater from a carbon because when he ate the first one, it was b'mezid. So you can't bring a carbon if it was b'mezid. Why doesn't he get malchus? Because when he ate the second one, when he did the stipulation, he had forgotten, so he can't get malchus. He can't get a carbon. So it's like it cancels each other out. Okay. Let's say it goes like this. Let's say let's say he does it exactly the opposite. when he eats the first one, he wasn't aware that this was prohibited, but he knew that the second one was
Taking effect.
the second one was taking effect. Okay, so he's going to be chayiv on the second one now. So there's going to be chayiv. Let's say shteim b'shegig. Let's say they're both he does unintentionally, then he's going to be pater automatically. If it's unintentional, it's pater because there's no oath. Shteim b'mezid. Let's say both b'mezid. So now this is interesting. Shnia mechayev. When he ate the first one, that was the critical one, and he did it b'mezid. When he eats the second one, then he's going to be chayev on that malchus. No, when he forgets, he was chayiv a carbon when he forgot. Now he's chayiv malchus on the second one. Rishayna, but on the first one, that's going to be plucked to the Rabbi Yechim Reish Lakish. It's going to be a machlekes because he didn't do the stipulation yet. So with the hasra on the first one. Okay, Amar Rav Mari Afanana Mitanina. Rav Mari says we also learned this in the Mishnah. There's a brackets here. Nidrish Gagas Ketzad. What's considered a vow of a shegeg? This should be prohibited if I had eaten and if I had drank. And then he realizes that he ate and drank. Or he says that I will not eat or will not drink, then this is prohibited.
Eat or drink, right?
Then it's mutter.
Either one, right?
And then he forgets and he eats and he drinks, then it's going to be permissible. B'tani Allah and the Brisa taught on that. It's the same when it comes to a vow, it's going to be permissible. So too, if it comes to an oath, it's going to be permissible. In other words, this is a proof to Rava because it says that if at the time of fulfilling the stipulation, he wasn't aware that this was affecting an oath, then that's not going to be considered affecting. It's not going to be considered. It's going to be considered an einus because he didn't realize that this oath was taking effect at that time when it was eaten. Okay, we're holding by Eifa Tani. Yeah, you see that the new Gemara over here. Okay, have a good day. Tomorrow Hillel will be teaching.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mazel tov.